What day is it? It's October 3rd. And you know what that means? Last year, we had an October 3rd episode. And it was in relation to... You don't really have to say it. If you know, you know. Anyway, we're doing that again this year. But unfortunately, as far as I know, Lindsay Lohan has only been in one kind of like supernatural suspense horror type thriller, whatever kind of movie. So, we have to move on to another one of the Plastics, who... We've already done a couple of her films on this channel. Anyway, that would be the lovely Gretchen Wieners, aka Lacey Chabert. So, if you're new to the channel, I'll just get this out of the way. This isn't scripted, there are no jump cuts. Basically, I watch a movie and I sit down and I talk about it. I might take a take or two, but usually it's pretty natural. Anyway, either you're into that or you're not, stick around, awesome, or I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. Anyway, that's the deal. So, spoiler alert, you know the drill. I'm going to be talking about the film, things that happen in the film, etc. If you do not want spoilers, you can either stop watching or you can skip ahead to the little timestamp that says thoughts. As long as it doesn't say thoughts with spoilers in brackets, because sometimes I do that, but I'll always warn you. Anyway, that out of the way. So what is Imaginary Friend about? Well, it's a 2012 TV movie, which Miss Chabert seems to love doing. The other two films we did were also TV movies, Scarecrow and Thirst, but yeah, does this one hold up compared to the other two? We'll find out. Did the other two hold up in general? Well, you'll have to watch those two reviews to find out, I suppose. Anyway, neither here or there, let's get to it. So, first scene, we're introduced to two childhood friends by the name of Emma and Lily, who are playing and having a wonderful time, just enjoying each other's company. And then we find out that Lily is in fact Emma's imaginary friend. Title drop. Yeah, so there you go. We get a little bit of backstory where the father is an abusive jerk who, we find out later in the movie, he actually ended up murdering his wife and Emma's mom, and then himself. So he's a great guy. Anyway, jump ahead, where we meet a now adult Emma who essentially is now on prescription medication. So her imaginary friend, I guess, was a coping mechanism created from the abusive history and events that led to, you know, anyone would lose their mind a little bit going through that, so that's fair enough. Anyway, she's on antipsychotics to combat the visions of her imaginary friend, which keep returning and haunting her. She just wants to move past it. And she also has anxiety issues. There are meds for anxiety as well. There you go. She's married to a gentleman by the, well, gentleman, I guess, by the name of Brad, who we almost immediately find out is flirting with his assistant, Molly, so that's nice. I don't know if they're actually sleeping together or anything, but they're pretty damn flirty, and they're making plans for dinner and everything, and it's all that kind of garbage. Anyway, Brad currently holds the power of attorney over Emma's father's estate. So her mother was very wealthy, may or may not have been the inventor of Toaster Strudel. We don't know. But when she passed, everything went to her husband, and then when he passed, I guess, the will is in his name, essentially, because he inherited... I don't know how that works. But anyway, it's the mom's money. Somehow the dad has control of it, but the dad's dead, so it's now a trust fund, essentially, which Brad is the power of attorney to. So he has access to it. I assume Emma has access to it, too. And Emma's attorney has access to it, and that's pretty much it. Anyway, Brad goes to the bank. I guess he wants to make a withdrawal or something, or needs some document or whatever, and he finds out that the power of attorney has expired, so they can't give him any of that, which is, you know, that ruins his plan, whatever he was going to do. He says, okay, but like we have bills and everything that we have to pay, like we need to get this resolved. Well, can't do anything without Emma consenting to it, so you're going to have to renew it. Anyway, that's fun. So the wheels are in motion for that. He's trying to arrange a meeting with Emma's lawyer to get this sorted out and renewed. Typical thing, whatever. Anyway. We get a little birthday dinner. So it's Emma's birthday. He takes her out to dinner. But lo and behold, at the restaurant, she has one of her little visions of her, you know, little girl imaginary friend running around and has a panic attack. And they have to leave early. And come home and she's apologizing, like, I'll make it up to you. And he's like, ah, don't worry about it. And they open the door, surprise! Oh shit, there's a surprise party. Okay, well, that's cool. Very kind of him. Except at this surprise party, Molly, his assistant, is being insanely flirtatious right in front of Emma, and she's like, you got a fine man here, or something along those lines. Not quite as in your face, you know, I'm trying to bang your husband. But pretty obvious, and she obviously defensively puts her arm around him and says, yeah, I do. Molly fucks off, and she proceeds to give Brad shit, like, did you not see that? She was all over you. And he's like, hey, first of all, you could be a little bit grateful to her. And she's like, what? Yeah, she put a lot of work into arranging this birthday thing for you, and you should be thanking her, or something along those lines. Okay, well... And then he just walks off, and she's just sitting there like, okay, what the hell? Anyway, she has another vision of her haunting, imaginary, creepy friend in the kitchen, and has an episode, and ends up breaking a glass and cutting her hand and everything. And whatever, there's a whole thing. The party ends, and he gives her polite shit, like, dude, like, we can't even have, like, a normal life or whatever, and... whatever, he has a little bit of an issue there. Storm's off, and then we get introduced to Lily, who's now back in full adult form. So I guess that traumatizing argument or whatever triggered Emma's brain into now seeing the, you know, age caught up with her own version of her imaginary friend. And she's like, don't you know who I am? And Emma's like, oh shit, yeah, we were like best friends. We still are. Cool. So anyway, she's around again, and that's fun. Then we get our intro to Dr. Kent. So the next day, Emma goes to her psychiatrist, and that's who it is. So Brad is also a psychiatrist, I may as well add. I guess they work together maybe, but you're not going to see your husband for your own psychiatric evaluation, right? So she is seeing this Dr. Kent guy. Kind of just an intro scene, not anything too crazy. Anyway. There's a couple things we should know about Emma. So A, she loves to paint. B, she loves to swim. Those are her, you know, de-stressors. That's the thing. That she does to ease her mind or whatever. So she's sitting poolside, and she's talking to Lily, essentially, and her husband comes up. Obviously doesn't see Lily sitting there or whatever. And I will say, Lily's kind of snarky. I like her. So... our first instance is like, I guess she's kind of dazed, and he's like, what, is someone out here with you or whatever? And she's like, I mean, like, listen, like, you taking your pills or whatever? And she's like, yeah, I'm taking my pills. And he's kind of like, I mean, I know he's a psychiatrist, but he's really animate about, like, take your pills throughout this film too. So that's something that becomes like a character trait almost of him pushing these pills on her, whether it's needed or not, right? I mean, clearly she's having issues. Anyway. She's like, it's fine, it'll go away. And that's what you hear Lily say, oh, I'm an it now? And then she walks off irritated. And Emma under her breath is like, bitch. And Brad's like, what? And he starts going on about all this stuff, and Emma's, I mean, trying to be not an asshole deliberately, I mean, kind of, but anyway, Emma's like, listen, all I'm asking for is like a bit of support, and all you seem to want to do is commit me. So that's a whole other thing, by the way, that we'll get into very shortly. So Lily has a chat with her while she's painting after all that situation. He's even apologized to her and everything, and I guess they're all good now, but Lily is kind of talking to her like, you know, why does he always push these pills on you? He's like, he's a psychiatrist, he knows, you know, best, I guess. And she's like, does he? Anyway, that opens, I guess, a door. So she decides, okay, you know what? I'm going to make some dinner for Brad and show him that I'm actually, you know, getting better. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I won't tell him I'm seeing Lily all the time right now, but, you know, I'm getting better. So she makes dinner. She says, you know, I had a really good day when he comes back. He's like, oh yeah, it's because of the meds, right? And she's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, regardless of that little irritant in her head, they end up banging anyway. So I guess it's like the first time in I don't even know how long, but they do. And she even says something like, come, just take it while you can get it or something. Whatever. Anyway, next day, yeah, the power of attorney has expired. The gears are in motion. That comes into play later. Sorry, I don't know why that popped in my head. she ends up having a conversation with Lily the next day, and Lily's kind of encouraging her, being legitimately, a good imaginary friend, trying to be in her corner and cheer her on and stuff. And so she's ready to go out into like the town, which she hasn't done for a long time. She's kind of been cooped up in the apartment, partially because of her own anxiety and partially because Brad had suggested that that's a good idea. So he seems a little controlling. Maybe it's coming from the heart, I don't know, but regardless, Lily's like, listen, you can do this. Just go out and have a good day. And she's like, okay, baby steps, right? And looks at Lily, and Lily's like, no, this is all you. I'm not coming with you. You're going to go out and you're going to have a good time by yourself and enjoy the day. And lo and behold, she does. She goes to a shop that I guess she used to frequent, and even the clerk there is like, oh wow, I haven't seen you in ages, remembers her size and everything. So clearly she hasn't been there in a while, which is fun. Anyway, when she gets home or whatever, and Brad comes home, she tells him, like, oh, I went out today. And he's like, oh yeah, with your special friend? And she's like, okay, like, could you not? Seriously. And he starts expressing more concern, like, seriously, like, that, whether or not it's good that you went out, you gotta control these images, and gives her pills. And right away, Lily's sitting there too, by the way, obviously Brad oblivious, but anyway, she ends up being snarky again. She's like, oh yeah, he really is a pill pusher, isn't he? And he's talking to her and, going on about how he just cares about her and wants to see her, have a better life and whatnot, and ends up pouring her a glass of wine and giving it to her. And of course, Lily's like, oh yeah, booze with medication? Great doctor. So Lily's pretty good. Anyway, it turns out that Brad had been talking to Dr. Kent about Emma's Emma's condition and how it's getting worse progressively, and she's seeing, these visions more often and whatnot, and Emma's not thrilled about that, and he brings up that there's going to be new meds that he wants to try, but he wants to try that under a watchful eye, aka an asylum, whether it's a brief stint or a long-term stint, whatever it is. That's the reveal. Anyway, she's not super thrilled about that, but she's, I guess, just taking it in stride. She's used to it at this point. So we're starting to learn a little bit about Brad, as like okay, first of all, like the whole flirting with Molly thing, that's not cool. So he's not the greatest husband in the world to begin with, but initially you're like, okay, he does genuinely care. He's, putting himself into those shoes. There's no excuse for cheating, if you ask me. I think that's just gross, but I get the mindset of where he would be. His wife is not who he fell in love with or whatever, and it's just been stressful and whatever, so maybe he made some stupid decisions. But the more you're learning, it's like, no, he's kind of a not great dude. And I think Emma's starting to catch on to this a little bit too, because during the power of attorney meeting, when John, her lawyer, is there presenting the new document, the renewal, before signing it, I guess usually she just signed things off right away, trusting her husband. She even asked the question, like, what happens if we divorce? And Brad's just quiet, kind of looking like, what the? Divorce? And the attorney says essentially, like, well, as per your father's will, if there's a divorce, there'll be a one-time payment, but, as long as you two guys stay married, you can continue living in luxury. He was kind of an old-fashioned person about marriage in that sense. And then Lacey's Emma's even like, it's funny, it's my mom's money, and even though he's dead, my dad still controls it, so that's a wonderful dynamic. She's like, okay, well, anyway, I'll sign it, that's fine. So that's great. He ends up talking about, like, no, that's later, sorry, okay. I'm great at this, right? Anyway. He goes to the bank, ends up finding out that this new power of attorney, the renewed one, grants him significantly less access than his previous one did. So he can make withdrawals, and that's pretty much it. Now, I don't know much about, trust funds and stuff. I don't know what else he would need access to other than the money in it, but apparently that's a big deal. So that's cool. Then we get a nice little scene of him back at home. Lacey's by the pool. Emma's by the pool. Sorry. And he's in the house, then you see some arms go around his neck and start massaging his shoulders and stuff. And he's like, oh, that feels good. And boom, reveal, it's Lily. Wait, but that doesn't make sense, does it? Well, listen. Lily isn't Lily. Lily is Brittany. So Brittany is a former patient of Brad's who they've been in an affair behind Emma's back this whole time, and essentially, real nice person. She's been posing as Lily at the request of Brad to prove that Emma's insane so that she can be locked up and he can just access the trust fund and, you know, have full access to everything because she'd be in an asylum, and there's just this whole subplot of that, and then they'd use it to like live together, and with Emma out of the way they can be together with all this money. And really lovely, heartfelt, you know, stuff here. Yeah, it's this whole ordeal, and he even makes a comment of like, oh man, I should have just killed her, and she's like, okay, like, you do not have the balls to do that. But you can see in Brittany's voice, she's kind of having some sympathy, like, even tries to like make out with her, and she's like, no, Emma's like right out by the pool. And he's like, oh, who cares? She's like, no, I'm not doing this in her house. Okay, well, let's go to your house. No, dude, like, fuck off. So, good on her, I guess, for growing a little bit of some morals there. I don't know, for whatever she has. Anyway, goes out as Lily again and starts talking to her, and she's like, you don't want to be committed, do you? And Emma's like, no, I really, really don't. And Brittany, I'm just going to call her Brittany now, but assume that until I tell you, she still thinks it's Lily. And Brittany is like, you know, he can't force you. And she's like, yeah, but I mean, he knows best, right? Like, he's a psychiatrist or whatever. So she's really, what is it, groomed? Is that the word? Is it grooming? Or is it gaslight? I don't know what the word is. Anyway, she's under the impression that he's looking out for her the best. But whatever. Anyway, Brad goes to the asylum, and he's doing a little walkthrough with the doctor there, and I think Dr. Kent is with him too, and they're talking or whatever. And it's basically in motion, so the asylum director guy or whatever even says, like, are you gonna have any issues bringing her in? And he's like, no, she's really calm, just, you know, she's seeing things, she just needs the help. And, you know, they say, you know, we can do this at home, and so clearly he wants her gone, because he even says, like, no, you know, I don't feel like, I'm not around enough, I work, etc. I'm not around enough to be able to truly take care of her. Which is, you know, probably horse shit. He just wants her locked up so he doesn't have to deal with her anymore. Anyway. Yeah. Great guy, right? Hence why I was hesitant to say gentleman at the very beginning when I introduced his character. Anyway. Arrangements are made. He's driving home. And he makes a call to Brittany and says, hey, listen. Everything's good to go. She's coming in tomorrow. I'm just going to pop home and then I'll be right over and we can celebrate. Anyway, leaves a message for her. I guess she's busy or something. And she arrives, and there's a candlelit dinner there. And he walks in and sees Emma at the other end of the table, smiling, looking like really calm and peaceful. And he's like, oh, wow, this is something else. And she says, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. And you know, it wasn't because of the pills. I'm going to be completely honest. Those weren't doing anything for me. He's like, okay, well, I mean, you still... And she's like, no. You told me to deal with this problem, and that's exactly what I did. I dealt with it. She's gone now. He's like, what do you mean she's gone? Clearly his brain is like, okay, well, you can't be sane now, so that'll ruin my whole plan. But he wants to press further, and eventually she's like, listen, I couldn't get rid of her with the pills, so I did the only thing I could think of doing is actually getting rid of her. And he's like, okay, so she's not in the house right now, she's not with us? And she's like, well, no, she can't be. Why is that? She's like, because I killed her. Brad's like, oh, what do you mean you killed her? She's like, yeah, we were outside by the pool, and, you know, she was talking to me, and I was telling her to leave me alone because of what you said. She can't be around anymore. And we got into an argument, and I came in the house, and stupidly she followed me, so I did what I had to do. And he's like, what did you have to do? And she goes on and basically tells him, like, yeah, I flat out, like, had to kill her, and it felt invigorating, like, it was like a release. I watched her die, and it felt good. And it was weird how real it was, though. Like, her touch felt real, she was warm, and how she bled, and boy did she bleed. And that's when Brad's face goes white. He's like, did she fucking kill Brittany? You gotta tell me exactly what happened, he says here. And he's like, well, I mean, she explains the situation, says basically we went up to the bathroom and I brought her into the shower and that's where I did it. And without hesitation, Brad gets up and runs upstairs to the bathroom, opens the door, opens the shower. There's nothing. He's like, okay, did she actually just kill her vision? Like, this is... So he goes back downstairs and she's smiling and she's like, come snuggle on the couch. And he sits down with her and he's like, so why did you go upstairs? And he's like, oh, I had to, go look at the crime scene. He's smiling, relieved, like, okay, she's not dead. And she's like, okay, well, that's not the only place that it happened. Yeah, I started there, but I finished her off in the cellar. Okay, Brad, again, heart attack, face goes white, runs to the cellar, comes downstairs, and that's when you actually see a little bit of red, some cloth, and a necklace that in an earlier scene he had bought Brittany. So he's fucking panicking now. He runs up, he's like, tell me exactly what happened, like, where's the body? It's that. She's like, I buried her outside, and he, like, is freaking out, and it's like, Brad, calm down. You're making it seem like I actually killed a person. I didn't. I killed my vision. Anyway, he drags her outside and makes her show him where he was buried. And lo and behold, there's a piece of garden where all the flowers have been removed and a little mound of dirt. And he starts digging in the dirt. And she's like, it's cold in here. I'm going inside. It's like, you're ridiculous. Like, why are you digging for my imaginary dead friend? Anyway, as he's digging, his hand touches something and he pulls it up and it's like a piece of her shirt and he freezes and he's like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. So yeah, she... Anyway, he runs back into the house and confronts Emma. Like, you killed her. And she's like, what are you talking about? It's like an imaginary vision. And he goes a little bit crazy. She's in her studio and she runs into another room and slams and locks the door and he's chasing her and it's like, oh my god, he's going like fucking psycho a little bit here. And that's when you hear a familiar voice say, well, that wasn't too difficult, was it? Or something along those lines. And reveal, Brittany's in there with Emma. So I guess Brittany had enough sympathy to tell Emma exactly what's going on. And now they're just playing with Brad at this point. So that's kind of fun. Anyway, she says, we called the cops. And he's like, we? And anyway, it cuts to the cops being there, and he's all, like, freaking out, and the cops are like, sir, against the wall. He's like, okay, where's Emma? She's upstairs, she's locked in the room. Anyway, they talk to her, and Emma's like, man, he's saying that, like, he's seeing a dead girl or something. Shit, I forgot to mention. No, I didn't, that's later. Okay, oh my god. She says he's, talking about a dead girl or something, and we went to, there's a body and there wasn't actually a body when we went to look for it, and he's just being delusional. And they're like, okay, well, just, are you afraid? Like, are you worried for your safety? And she's like, no, he wouldn't hurt me or anything like that. It's just, I mean, I was a little freaked out at the situation, but it's calmed down now. We're fine. And the cops are like, okay, well, we're going to be cruising in the area just to make sure, everything's good. If you have any issues, you call us now. She's obviously not pressing charges or anything because it's revealed that Brad is sleeping on the couch downstairs or something. And he even calls her and says basically sorry, essentially. A little too late, I suppose. But that's when he sees Brittany. So Brittany is ghostly at this point now. She's got like the dead face paint and her clothes are dirty and whatnot, and appears beside him, and he's freaking out and he's just calling out for Emma, who runs downstairs, and he's terrified. He confesses to the affair. He's like, you didn't kill your imaginary friend, you killed a real person. Like, that was a real person, that was Brittany. And he explains that he was a former patient, and the hell is that? No, whatever. Anyway, former patient, and he was having an affair, and he's so sorry, and blah 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 blah. But he's seeing her and stuff, and Emma's playing it up like, okay, you're insane, clearly. Anyway, enter Britt, and he's like staring at her, and he's like, "What are you look?" Emma's like, "What are you looking at?" And she's like, She can't see me, Brad." So they're just really messing with him right now, and they end up outside by the pool, and Emma's just like, "Dude, you're seeing shit, and I know what it's like. It happened to me. You have to do what I did, essentially. I killed her, and you have to do the same thing. Just kill her, and then it won't be an issue." And he has a knife now, and it's like, I can't do that. Anyway, they basically get him in a position where he's absolutely lost his mind. The cops end up coming because they were called again or alerted, or I don't know what happened, but the cops show up again. They arrest him, take him away. He had a knife, right? So that's right. Anyway, they take him away, and fast forward. Let's just cut to the end, essentially, because there's like not a lot that goes on other than he's arrested, and now he's in the asylum, and the cops are interviewing her before, I guess, he's locked up, and she says, yeah, like, he's saying he's seeing dead people all the time, and they're like, you don't see that either, do you? And she's like, no, like, he said there was someone right in the room with me, and he's not, and, he's taking medication of some kind, and they're like, what? And he's, like, self-medicating. Yeah, he probably, I don't know what it is, but he probably got it from his office or something like that, so she's really turning everything against him. Anyway, long story short, he's in the asylum now, locked up. The person's like, the asylum dude is like, man, like, he's been saying it was you who's been crazy this whole time, and we just, assumed because you got a little history or whatever, but yeah, it turns out it's him the whole time. And she's like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. Anyway, she's like, can I say goodbye to him? Like, this is kind of traumatizing. And they're like, oh, of course. And she walks in, and Brad's on a bed in like a straitjacket, and he looks up at her, and has her concerned look immediately vanishes into a little smirk, and she's like, nice try. Gives him a little kiss on the forehead and walks out. So, yeah, that's what you get, right? Anyway, last scene is her and Brittany, who I guess have become friends. She no longer needs Lily because Brittany has filled that gap as like a bestie or something, and they're having wine by the sunset, and all's well that ends well. She's got a new bestie, and Brad's the fuck out of the picture, and she's got control of her own trust and all that stuff. Roll credits. So what did I think of this one? Well, I have to say, I actually enjoyed it. Wasn't really expecting much. Like, Thirst and Scarecrow were like, okay, I guess. I think I gave Scarecrow a higher rating than it deserves, because that's when I was giving everything better ratings than I guess I would now, but it doesn't matter. I think it was the best of the three that I watched. I genuinely enjoyed the character of the imaginary friend. Like I said, there were some snarky comments that she was making that were like, okay, that's funny. I'll try not to do spoilers in this part, but the whole twist reveal was pretty fun. I didn't think that that's the direction the film was going to be going, and then they did, so that was cool. They actually caught me off guard, which is rare, actually, in a lot of movies now. I can kind of see a twist coming, but this one, for whatever reason, I didn't. It could be because it's a TV movie, and maybe I just thought they wouldn't be that good at doing anything. Anyway, the dynamic is pretty good. Like, before the reveal, the character that ends up being an asshole, again, I'm trying to not do spoilers here, is played off as a genuinely, like, caring person, so that's good, and then the whole twist makes everything thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Lily character, the imaginary friend. Like I said, she had some good quips. Emma was good too when she was getting snarky. That whole like last quarter of the film, I guess, like from the twist on, I really had a fun time with it, actually. It brought me out of, like, when you're watching the first bit of the film, it's kind of overshadowing the fact that, yes, this is, or it's overhanging and glaringly obvious that this is, in fact, a TV movie. Some of the music cues, etc., there's, it's not going to be, I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie by any means. There's some times where you can tell that the audio of Lacey's voice was recorded, from the boom mic facing her when she's talking, but then when it shows Brad and she's still talking, the audio quality difference is different enough for you to know, okay, well, she recorded that in the studio. So there's like a slight difference in one scene anyway. I didn't notice that through a lot of the movie, but in one scene it's pretty blatantly obvious. So again, it's not a perfect film or whatever, but the characters were pretty solid. The acting was actually pretty decent. Lacey did pretty well. The parts that had more of a horror element to them, I know she was in, you know, Black Christmas and that or whatever, but I would like to see her as like the psycho character, the one that's, well, in this she's like lost her mind essentially, right? She's seeing her imaginary friend, etc. But I would like to see that played in an even more extreme role where she's actually like psychopathic. I honestly think that she could probably pull that off, which is it's never going to happen. She's a Hallmark queen now, but like I would really like to see that. I think she could pull that off quite well. The story for the most part was actually not too bad. I was, you know, not like super invested, like to the lines of, you know, Jurassic Park or something, but I was invested enough that I was enjoying the film throughout its entirety, which is, for a TV movie, there are parts that kind of hum and haw, but for the most part, the flow was pretty good. But yeah, that last, I guess, like, quarter or third of the film, like, from the twist on, I was completely pulled in, and, like, my mind wasn't like, oh, I'm watching a TV movie. I'm just like, okay, this is engaging, I'm intrigued, I want to see where this goes, how far it's taken, etc. And, yeah, that part made me really content with the film overall. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say about it. It exceeded my expectations. Again, it's not phenomenal. It's not going to change your life or anything like that, but it was much better than I figured that it would be. And the best of the 3 TV movies with Miss Chabert that I've seen so far and reviewed on this channel. So that being said, what am I going to rate this one? Honestly, I'm going to give it a 6. Just a flat-ass 6. Because, yeah, it was enjoyable for what it was. Again, like the first little bit, I'd say the first half, it's pretty apparent that it's a TV movie, but the more you go into it, the less obvious it is. I don't know if maybe the directing just got better, or the story just, as it got more intense, you just stopped caring about the quality and whatnot. Yeah, so it's a 6. Where can you watch this one? Or I should say, should you watch this? And I say yes, you should, because it is free, in a high quality on YouTube. So there are at least 2 or 3 copies of it on YouTube floating around in like full. I don't think it's 4K or anything like that, but it's like good quality enough, like you're watching the DVD or something. So just put it on YouTube if you want to watch it. Imaginary Friend 2012, and it should be one of the first things that popped up, and you can watch it for yourself and for free and see if you agree with what I'm saying or not. Yeah. That being said, like I said, it's better than I thought it would be, and I figured it would be a nice, fun way to celebrate October 3rd, which, by now, if you haven't figured out, is Mean Girls Day. So that's why we're watching a Lacey Chabert movie, and why last year we watched a Lindsay Lohan movie. Anyway, enough of that. Yeah, we'll call it a day from there. A little bit of a pickup from a Serbian film, eh? A little different kind of vibe for this film. But yeah, like I said, I'm just rambling now and making this video longer than it has to be. Could have ended like 3 minutes ago, but it didn't, because it's me, and that's how I roll. So I'm gonna take life by the reins now and end this video just like Emma ended Lily. That was so stupid. Anyway, later.